It's Sunday, April 4th, 2021. I'm Jeff.
Who's your bear? That's right. I am your bear.
I'm Damon.
I don't brew the tea, I just serve it.
And that makes me Gary.
Everyone else is thinking it, and I just say it.
Welcome to Comes Out Loud, the Bear Podcast of Indeterminate Length, episode number 596. Oh, damn, we're almost at 600.
I know.
Jesus.
4 episodes away.
Oh, God. Well, let's find out what's up. I have a problem.
I mean, yeah.
If you're expecting sympathy from us, or shock, or surprise, you've come to the wrong location, for the record. I'm just saying.
Sorry, Jeff.
that
You
was
walked
great.
right into that.
It was great. I loved it. It was great.
You
Oh my
literally
gosh.
stepped.
Yes.
Right
No.
into that.
I admit it, and I'm very happy for it. So for like 16, coming on 17 years now, I've been playing a game known as World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
No other MMOs. Fuck other MMOs. WoW's
Mm-hmm.
the best, is the greatest, is my one and only passion. Until recently when I tried Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
14.
Let me say this. One, I have a sexy Rogadin named Elagos Windgem. Windgem, because Windgem is the name that I used as my first character in WoW. So it's kind of like a theme. I've been playing through that, and there are things that drive me insane about this game that I don't like. There's one thing, which definitely keeps me playing.
Oh.
And that's the story.
Mm.
I'm mostly playing this massively multiplayer online role-playing game as a RPG, a role-playing game, just a single-player role-playing game.
Mm.
Like, I have to do group content, sure, whatever. But for the most part, I'm just, the only time I'm really doing group content is when it's absolutely necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Which, and there's kind of things I'm finding really cool, like, you can be every single class. Everything. All of them.
Mm.
And there's no having to like go from my paladin to my black mage.
Mm-hmm.
I need to instead of having to log out and log into a different character, I just switch my weapon. And I'm in that class. My bars change and everything. But there's another thing, is like, I go into these dungeons or raids, there's no like adventure journal or anything where I could just kind of like look up for a quick synopsis of the fight. Be like, okay, here's some things you want to avoid, and here's some mechanics you want to do. At this point, you want to make sure that you're killing off the ads, blah, blah, blah. Instead, at least currently, because I'm doing a lot of the original Realm We Were Born content, I just hit Heaven's Word, technically the third expansion. Long story. But the second part, but everything in A Realm Reborn, the first one, I go in there and it's pretty much chase after the tank and hit stuff, and that's it. And it's just really kind of confuses. Like all of a sudden I die and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. There's lots of ambiguity and like stuff where I probably, that if it was current content, everybody would be learning all together. So we die, we figure it out, and oh, this is what it was, blah 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 blah. Instead, it's oh, we'll just raise you, keep beating on them, and then once we're done with this fight, we'll move on. No one really talks about anything. Assumes everybody knows what's going on, and there's plenty of these awful, at least with the group content experiences. It just things end up happening. At the beginning, it was like all of a sudden I'm going through this, and there's like all these like overdone spell effects. And just everything's all super flashy. And then I figured out, oh, I can turn off other people's spell effects. That's going to make things a whole lot easier. I might be able to see things. And then I appreciate them thinking about like, hey, it's nighttime, so it's dark. So we want to make sure that you have a good darkness. Well, I appreciate that. However, I would like to also be able to see things. And especially when you're in a raid where like the entire aesthetic is black with a few lit up like glowy things. Not necessarily glowy things that are supposed to illuminate an area. They just glow so you can see them. And it's ends up being like super hard to see. A boss which is about your size, but there's all these other things that are going on, and you're trying to hit him and be in the right positions and such. But because of everything that's going on and all the people that are in the way, I can't even see the boss. I'm like, well, according to my buttons, I'm within range, so I can hit him.
There you go.
It's, well, when I'm looking at WoW, I don't have any of these problems. Even when it's dark, I can everything is still visible. They intentionally make bosses bigger. So ones that are like Garrosh Hellscream in Siege of Orgrimmar, he's an orc. He's like just a player character can be an orc, but he's like 2 or 3 times larger than a normal orc. That's not actually how he looks. Like if you were like putting everything, actually to scale, but they have him big enough that you can actually tell where the bosses is. They don't have things like during the fights. They don't have any audio cues. Like all they have are the visual cues that are on the floor, and it's like, oh, they're going to be doing this one ability which doesn't have one of these floor graphics to telegraph that they're going to do something. Maybe you're supposed to see a bar in the character, but the bar on their targeting thing is like itty bitty. I have a lot of problems with it. However, I've been thoroughly enjoying myself and have been losing sleep, which, strangely enough, I've never actually done with WoW, because I feel like that it's like, oh, I need to sleep. I can pause here. Final Fantasy 14 doesn't feel like that. There's lots of times like, no, I got to keep going, or this thing is going for longer. They are very different animals. A lot of people say the community of Final Fantasy 14 is less toxic. So far, I haven't perceived it that way. I don't think it's more or less right now. I think some things like everybody's really most people are helpful and everything's fine. Well, we're going through this one instance for my main scenario quest, and all of a sudden they're just running ahead, and then this is the first time I'm even in this place, and you're supposed to run down a hall and you click on a thing to go into another area. I'm running down the hall and I'm like, oh yeah, doing my normal WoW things. We're going to kill the trash. No, we're just running past the trash and clicking this thing. That's all you need to do. And they just keep go. And the only time you actually kill trash is when you get to a place where you have to stop for some reason. Because some character drops a key in order for us to unlock a door or something like that. And then all of a sudden I got lost. I was just like, I have no idea where anybody is. I don't know how to get to anywhere you are. It was really, really frustrating. And I understand this is old content. People want to blaze through this. You did your duty roulette and just want to randomly get into something, and you get into this one. Yay, movie night, because there's a lot of cutscenes which nobody can skip. You know, we'll just go. We could just blaze right through this. Which, don't get me wrong, sure, if you know what you're doing, if this is not your first time through, you know the path that's going through, yeah, that's fine. But what if somebody in the party is not new? or is new and has no idea, you know, you're going along and then we're like, oh, there's some baddies to fight, so I'm going to fight them. And then you guys just run off. They die. They respawn, and they're like, where the hell is everybody? I can't find you. I feel like this happens very frequently, is just because it's old content, a lot of people are assuming that everybody knows what you're supposed to do. And I try to, at the beginning, make sure to let people know, hey, this is the first time here. The tips are really lacking. And it would just be nice if I could just do, as I do in WoW, Control J. Oh, this is the boss. Here's some things to know. Sure, there's usually, and even the dungeon journal in WoW, it gives you some basics, but it really doesn't, to kind of like give you an idea of what's going on. But it doesn't necessarily make it perfect. It's not perfect. It doesn't like being. It's not like pulling up a raid or dungeon guide from on YouTube, where they actually go into the mechanics and what the boss's abilities are and what you're going to be watching out for. Here's some things. Here's the strategies for dealing with this. No, it just says, hey, avoid this thing. Make sure you're taking out these things. Very, very basic, which is great because it gives you an idea, but it doesn't tell you how to actually complete the fight necessarily. So there's a lot to Final Fantasy XIV, which I don't like, which I'm still, if I'm going to put things in order of what I like and don't like, WoW is first. Final Fantasy XIV is it's giving me good feelings. The only thing is that I'm losing sleep over it. That's pretty much it.
So what I'm hearing is the game is addictive, and that it has more real world mechanic aspects to it, but those are frustrating because you're used to games where that isn't the case.
Not exactly. Because the Dungeon Journal hasn't been around in World of Warcraft, but usually when you're going through, like in raids, you don't... One, they always keep you at the current content level. Always. If you're going to do a random dungeon, it's a random dungeon for the current content. Final Fantasy XIV gives you a random dungeon for any content and sync you to the certain level. So
okay, but to me that seems more realistic. Like, I go out into the world and
But
I
it's
go to
not.
drive my car, and I don't know what the
You've
levels
gotten-
of driving experience are the other people around me in the places that I go. Like randomness is authenticity, in my opinion.
But we're
That's all
still
I'm
talking
just
about
saying.
a game here. Is that people
Right, but
is the level sync is kind of cool. It's kind of nice. It allows you to play old content pretty much at any time in the game. The only thing is especially when you're doing like these random roulette things or something, that you need to consider that some people are coming here, especially when the ones you should know are part of, like, if you're going through the main scenario quest, you have to do this dungeon, which is also a thing that bugs me, is that in order to progress through the story, you have to do a dungeon or raid or something. Because in WoW, it will lead you to the dungeon, and then may get a quest to go into the dungeon, but then you can still like just continue on with the main story without doing the dungeon and do the dungeon later. You know, whenever you want to. So that's another application. But I mean, this is dealing with the game versus real life. I don't expect this to be fully real life. I mean, I don't expect to be throwing spells in real life. So why should I expect the game to be more realistic? I mean, it's Final Fantasy. So.
Touche. That's fine. Anyways.
But I think the big problem is in real life, though. In real life, if you're getting up to these things, going through these things, people won't be running past all these mobs that are trying to attack you. You're going to be trying to figure out where you need to go, where it can be like, oh, somebody's attacking me, I better kill them so that I can continue on. Instead, they're not killing them and continuing on. Even when you're saying something new, I never get enough information to really understand what's going on. And even during some fights, they give me some hints. I'm going about the fight. I have no idea all of a sudden I die. I have no idea why. It's just, if I knew why, I'd be like, oh, that's why. But I can't tell. There's a lot of information that is not reaching me from what's being telegraphed in game. I really wish that at least the bosses would have more audio cues of things besides just visual cues. So, anyways, that's my complaints on Final Fantasy. Otherwise, I'm having a blast. It's fine. Damon.
Wow. Well, not wow. So I put down similar, but I realizing that's not exactly true because there's a lot going on. Similar for me is I'm still working. I'm still working from home. I'm probably not going to be going back into the office anytime in the near future. I do know that I will be doing a hybrid once the offices open. So I'll be working from home most of the time and then coming in once or twice a week. So cool. But there is some good news. I'm realizing you've fallen. There you go. Kim's got a job.
Yay.
So things have been rough. Well, not rough. Let's rephrase. COVID was a thing, and COVID was definitely a thing if you worked in the entertainment industry. And that has been definitely the case for him. And unemployment was interesting for a while. And then he got called back to do some work, but it wasn't full-time work, but it wasn't enough to get unemployment. It was a mess. It was a big ass mess, and it's still a mess. I don't even know what's going to happen on there, if anything, from that point. But good news is he's working now. He started last week, so trained and everything, and that's cool. So yay for that. Last week, 2 weeks ago.
I have a question because I guess this is news to me. wasn't under the impression or aware that Jim wasn't working the past year at all.
Well, he has been working off and on. So, long story short, March, April, both of us got furloughed. He was working at the Aronoff, which is a entertainment venue. Normally he would have started working at Kings Island in their decor team, but with everything going on, they weren't sure what they were going to do, so they went to a bare bones strategy, and he didn't get called up to help. After that, he did eventually get contacted by Kings Island to do a gig for their making announcements because of COVID, because there are so many things that could potentially change without notice. They wanted someone available live to give announcements to people coming into the park. So he did that starting in, I want to say, July, and he worked on that until September, till Labor Day. So he was doing that, and at first it was full time, and then because of COVID, the park closed to just weekends, so it became just weekends. And then there's that. And then after that, he stopped for that, and then he started doing some because December, and he's my Santa. He started doing Santa stuff. He worked for a little while at one company and was doing some virtual videos on his own through his website to do it. So that's worked. And then that obviously stopped in January. And he had looked for a job. He found a job. It took a while to get paperwork done. And unfortunately, he was supposed to start in February, but because of just delays with the Postal Service and whatnot, things didn't get done in time. So he had to wait until their next starting time, which was this month, or March. So long story short, well, not really short, but that's kind of what's been going on. But he's, I'm happy that he's working. It's been good. We're now both working from home. We're now both working, Monday through Friday. We don't have lunch at the same time, but we're making that work. Yeah, it's been pretty good. Nice. Other thing is, I am technically, per CDC, fully vaccinated.
Yay!
So I got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and the short and long story is Ohio announced that they were going to be opening up to 40 and up on the 19th, I think, of March. On the 13th of March, I got a call from, maybe not 13th, sorry. That's wrong. On the 16th of March, excuse me. I got a call from my doctor's office randomly, and they left a message because I was at work and I didn't hear it. And they asked essentially if I wanted to sign up to get the vaccine. And they mentioned that they had the Johnson & Johnson one available. So I was like, okay, let me call them back real quick. So I called very quickly. And I got in on that Thursday and did the whole one shot. They gave you stayed there for 30 minutes or 20 minutes, and then you were sent on your way. It did hit that Thursday, Friday, pretty rough. But I was okay. I worked a half day on Friday. I worked a full day on Thursday, but by Thursday evening I was ugh. And then I went to bed and I woke up and I was feeling okay. But as Friday kept going, I just kept feeling worse and worse and worse. So I just decided to take a half day. Yeah, And then literally that Saturday, I was fine. It's been very interesting. And according to guidelines, you're not fully vaccinated until 2 weeks afterwards, which would have been April 1st. So,
Hey,
ta-da.
that's no joke.
Yeah. And really, really, there's the other guideline of like 28 days, which, I'm still doing everything. I'm still wearing my mask. I'm still, social distancing as much as I can. And while I'm still doing some of the things, like starting DED campaigns and being in one shot, playing in one shots, that's really it. So yeah, that's me.
I just found out that I am now eligible finally.
Yeah. So a lot of states are pushing forward, and I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, here in Ohio, it's now 18 and up. If not now, right now, like tomorrow.
I to figure out my eligibility, I went to planyourvaccine.com, which is NBC News's thing. You put in your state/city if the option for your city is there. Select if you're an essential have an essential occupation or not, and then put in your age. And apparently, most of the time when I've been going to this, it's been saying you're not eligible, you're not eligible, you're not eligible. And then just we were talking about it, so I pulled it up and it said you're eligible. And there's a CVS near me that this is near me. This is up the street. The only thing is, I also need to get my car to jump because my car battery must have died while I haven't been trying it for like a year.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
But need to make an appointment, make sure I got my ID card for this year and everything before I can do it.
Whoop, whoop. So yeah,
I'll figure it out.
But that's me, Gary.
Cool. So by the end of April, it sounds like all three of us will be fully vaccinated.
Yeah,
which is
depending
good.
on when Jeff can get his.
Yeah, I haven't actually looked into scheduling or anything. I just found that I was eligible.
Nice, but you're eligible now, so that's good.
Yeah, me, it's like finally, because I've already been so paranoid about this whole caboodle. I feel like I'm not paranoid about it, but now that I kind of look back on behaviors, I'm like, I'm literally not driving anywhere. I rarely leave my apartment.
Yeah.
Or anything. So, and I'm like, no, Jeff, you are paranoid about this. You're also living your best life. Because I'm one of those people who actually kind of prefer this type of thing.
Yeah. So, Gary, how about you?
So I said slowly improving. Let's see. So we're talking about the past 4 weeks, but something like that. Anyways. So at the beginning of March, I think, I started going and seeing a chiropractor. And that's been very helpful. The headaches that I used to have pretty regularly have gone away. And now, but I also have been having this weird, like, neuropathy in my left leg, on the outside of like my thigh muscle. Sometimes sciatic, like that, shoots down your sciatic nerve into your foot. So that's fun. But I just went to my PCP actually on Friday and talked to them and was like, hey, this is kind of stuff that's going on. So they think that there's most likely something happening with my lower back. My muscle's pretty tense. So I'm going to go to physical therapy. I'm on steroids. for a week. So, yeah, that's been an interesting thing. So I've been, trying to make some improvements personally. Like a little bit better eating, better rest, and for the most part, it's like going okay, and so that part's been helpful, beneficial. What I don't appreciate are stressful things like last night's experience. So I'm just going to tell a quick little story about my experience with Apple. And most of you probably are aware, if you've been watchers and/or listeners of the podcast for a number of years, that I converted over to Apple years ago. I used to be more an Android individual. As far, the first thing was the Apple TV, and then it was I think I had a MacBook through work, and then the iPhone, and so now everything, iPad, everything but this computer itself is an Apple product. And I've never really had to deal with their customer care or anything. But so Damon knows, with Cubs Out Loud Drag Race that we do, I typically purchase the entire season on iTunes, and then I wait for the episode to load, and it's usually less than 24 hours from when the episode airs. And then I go and I watch it. And tonight we have another episode of Drag Race to discuss. However, as of midnight last night, the latest episode had not loaded. No matter what. And I was really irritated. So I turned around and decided about midnight, because I was so irritated, to look up online how to file a complaint with Apple. And so you go through apples.com's website, and you find that you can request help or whatever. So I decided to do what's called click to chat in the biz, where someone is on the other end of a computer or a bot, depending, and I basically describe the situation. So you have to describe it to report the issue, and then when you choose click to chat, you have to fill out all this documentation, your name and your email address and this and that, your order numbers of your purchases, if it's something through, that you purchased through an online store. And then you have to describe the situation. So that's twice I've basically told the online software system what to do or what's going on. Then I get a person who responds, and they're like, "Hi, so happy that I can help you. What's going on?"
I think I told you.
I think I done told your system twice already.
Twice now.
Yeah. So I was not in a good mood last night. And I ended up taking a whole series of screenshots because I was so irritated. So, because I was basically like, "Are you effing kidding me?" At one point in the chat, so they go on, and I sent them a screenshot of my iTunes account for my iPhone, showing that the episode was going to be a charge, and it wasn't loaded into the software as part of the season, yet everything else is a part of the season. So I sent them a screenshot. They're like, "Okay, let me have a look, blah, blah, blah." They're like, "Thanks for your patience. So based on the checks I've made on your account, you should be able to access it. In regards to this, we recommend that you reach out to the app developer." Ooh. Ooh. So I take a while to think, because they give me a link to a web page titled "How to Contact an App Developer." But I kind of started to snap. So I replied with, "I'm going to ask a rhetorical question. Are you kidding me? Apple made the iTunes TV shows app. If we were on a phone call, I probably would have lost my cool, and I would have snapped and been like, "I'm sorry. Did you just not tell me?"
It's well, as far as I'm aware, you are the developer. Apple is the developer of the app, which means that's why I'm talking to you.
Right.
It's not an app I'm having a problem with. It's a television show, which is accessible through your app.
your platform, your OS on your device. Like I was spelling that out. Like actually one of the first things I said in the the chat, I finally found it. I said, when they're like, how can I help you today? And I was like, I would presume filling out all the info prior to reaching you would be sufficient to know what the situation is currently. Asking me how can you help infers you are not aware of the circumstance. I would expect better in a click to chat system. Because I was done. That was the beginning of the conversation. Bitches, I work in telecom. I've managed projects of click to chat. Like, don't ask me what the issue is. The system already has it documented. Read your fucking shit.
No.
I mean, when I was working with Project Fi, now called Google Fi, and I was doing chats, the thing would come up, it would display what the problem was, and then it would say, "Hi, how are you doing today? I understand that you're having this issue," and basically reiterate, confirm, so that I could continue instead of, "What can I do for you?"
Like, this is like, I just feel like I'm just like, I keep doing this because this is how I feel.
So
I've had so many issues. It's the one thing I've always hated is like, if you talk with someone and you describe your problem and you go through something and then you get to a person and the very first thing they ask you is like, what was your problem? Like, bitch, I done told you several times
Right.
what the problem is.
Right. So wait, it gets better. So then I said about, are you kidding or whatever? And they said, I totally understand where you're coming from, Gary. However, since this is an app issue, it is recommended that you contact her. And it goes on. And so this is my snarky response. So I'm speaking with Apple Chat support, and Apple is the developer of the iTunes TV shows app for the Apple TV device for which I am using and is not showing this particular episode. What am I not understanding here? Because I was like, this has nothing to do with me. This is not a device issue. This is not a default,
This is what is this?
And I sent them a screenshot showing that in standard definition, I had purchased the season, yet yes, this most recent episode was coming up as $1.99. Like it was extra in addition to what I've already paid for the season. And I was like, oh no, bitch. No. This should be
We're not playing that game. We're not playing that. We're not doing that. No.
So then I responded and said, the reason this episode isn't loading automatically is because it's been set up as one that requires additional payment despite being part of the season purchase in SD. It needs to be fixed on the Apple side of programming. Somewhere this was set up incorrectly when loaded to the app, which is not my responsibility, but the source of my irritation to explain everything I am capable of from my side.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? So wait. That was at 12:49 in the morning.
Girl,
mind you, this whole chat started just after midnight. So now it's like going on an hour that I'm trying to resolve this. And then it says, your chat ended because of a temporary system issue. Please wait while we connect you with the next available advisor. Girl.
Did she go like, I'm out?
So like, oh, okay.
This ain't my pay grade. This is not my no. I'm out. Like, you here. I'm not even gonna say it, supervisor. Like, you take this. I'm grabbing my purse and I'm going. Like,
but some type of explanation should have, because then it says, because then I was really irritated because then the automated ending says, hello, I hope your conversation was helpful. If you would like to take a moment, please tell us about your experience in the survey.
1 star. 0 stars.
Yeah, give them bad ratings. Just lowest rating possible and everything.
So here I got transferred to a senior customer advisor, customer support person.
Yeah, nope.
Right. David, you were right. Like I just got transferred off to a supervisor or something, but instead of having that explained, like it looked like the conversation and the chat had ended, and then I was passed off to another person. Luckily, I already had a screenshot of what my record number was or whatever incident number.
Mm-hmm.
But actually right away this person like was responding and saying, so this is what I see is happening, is that correct? So I went on and explained that since the chat had started, that I noticed like part of it was appearing, not the episode, but how things were lined up. And they said, oh, I see, thank you for providing additional information. I'm sorry you're experiencing this. Rest assured that I'm going to provide my full. I was taking screenshots of showing what it looks like because I was bitching in the Telegram chat. And where did I? Oh, and then I responded when they fixed it. I said, thank you for the additional assistance. They said, I can understand where you're coming from. I hope you're pleased with the service. And apart from this, is there anything else? And I said, not at this time, but I do have 2 recommendations. One, review the previous agent chat session to determine the best coaching opportunity for them regarding the solutions offered.
Or lack thereof.
And 2, pass on the appropriate teams that the issue that I faced, I'm under the impression, is for anyone that purchased a standard definition season. Thank you for the speedy resolution. Because from when I started talking to them until this resolved was maybe 12 minutes. Less than. So it showed me, when you talk to somebody who knows their stuff, then they things can be resolved or whatever. And having been the person who has worked in this field for fuck all, over 15 years in some capacity, helping people could be really good and rewarding, and assistive to other folks. And I get it. If you're new and you don't know stuff, you don't know stuff. But that was just a bad.
And usually there's some sort of path to oh, this is strange. I'm not sure what to do. Hey, could you please hold on a minute? I'm going to consult with somebody. And then consult with somebody, get the resolution from somebody else that you then learn and integrate into your own the knowledge base, and then you go back to thank you for waiting. I apologize for the wait. Here is a solution, and hopefully that's the appropriate solution. And I'm assuming that the original agent was like, oh, this is dealing with an app, so give them a link to the app developer contact way. Blah 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 blah. Which is, if you were actually quote unquote listening because of the chat, you would have at least been able to be like, oh, that is not an app issue.
Well, that's where I was so frustrated, because I was like, bitch, did you just tell me to contact you? Because I'm already talking to you. And don't get me wrong, I understand the customer service team is not the developer, it's not billing, it's not I understand all of that, the different parts of the company, but I was like,
did you tell me to contact you?
Excuse me?
Excuse me?
Where is the logic in your solution? Did you even think through what you offered? The answer is no. And that's why I was so pissed off. I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay.
Nope. That is perfectly fair.
So I was like, and it's so funny because back in the day when I was doing corporate training in the field, I would use this as a prime example in class of how to be better at your job, to be engaged, to use active listening, even when you're chatting with someone, read what they're telling you, comprehend it. And if you don't, get some help.
Or if you're not understanding entirely what it is ask questions. I mean, I don't mind talking to someone to help them, fully understand what my issue is. It's like, okay, so this is it. You said you were sending screenshots, so it sounded like you were being clear on the matter, but I'm not sure if the agent was understanding. Hell, the agent probably doesn't even use the damn thing or something.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was strange. So that was my little adventure last night that is humorous, sort of in hindsight, at the sheer I don't know.
Honestly, I think you've got a bad egg or a very new egg. And I don't mean the thing, so.
Right. I mean, that's why I was like, okay, I'm not going to let this go. Like, the person who took over did something to rectify it, like right there and then, because I was literally typing out the answer or the solution I was going to propose, which is give me a credit for this episode so I can have access to it, because I'm not getting access to it. And then I don't care what y'all do on your end, like how you track it, fix it, all that kind of jazz. It doesn't matter to me. Just do it. Like, because my feeling on it is like, this is bigger than just little old me, because I saw at least one other person on Twitter bitching. They'd been like, what the hell's going on, Apple? It's been over 24 hours since the episode aired. Why do we not have access to it? And I was like, yeah, see, I feel validated by this person that I've, wanted to hook up with online for a while. Anyways, and so it was just one of these things that I was like, huh? I was like, I don't. So then when they were like, when the first person was like, well, just contact the developer. Bitch, I don't have to contact the developer. You are the developer of the app. Like, And I admit that, yes, technically VH1 or World of Wonder, like somewhere along those lines, the chain could have broken down. But the reality is the episode's there. I just can't access it until I pay the extra money. And I'm like, no. We're not paying extra for this, because I already paid for it. I should already have access to it. So it, anyways, was an interesting adventure, and like customer service and what that's like. And also it's a bit of a check, like, against the whole notion, just because you know something doesn't mean somebody else does. Like, there's so much that we take for granted. Like, how do you not know that? Well, it's really simple. They've never been exposed to it, or they've never had an interaction, or whatever it may be. So yeah, pretty different.
It's okay to not know things.
True. Like,
if you don't know it, you could probably, especially these things, you probably learn it from somebody who does know. So here's an example of something. I'm going to pass this on to everybody. Here's your little like learning nugget thing. If you're doing any like training, getting any education opportunity, and you're in the midst of like receiving the instruction, and the person asks you a question, unless told otherwise, utilize all your available tools and resources to answer the question. Because most likely, that's what they want to see, is that if you don't know the answer, that you're going to attempt to get the answer. That more often has been my experience. Unless you are prefaced with, you must have this memorized, do you know what I mean? Or committed to memory, or something of that sort. The reality is you should be able to go look for it. I just did some training this week, and the instructor asked a question. And I didn't get named, but I got called out, sort of, because I'm at work and I have the laptop and the second monitor. And on the second monitor, I'm scrolling through the whole like PowerPoint presentation PDF to go back to find the answer. And the instructor says, I see some of you scrolling back through the materials, and pauses. So, of course, everyone that was probably doing it stopped. Like they got caught. And then they said, good, because even though we just went over it, I didn't expect you to have it memorized. And I was like, see, like, this is how simple it is. Go get the answer.
Get to it, honey. Get to it.
I see most of you scrolling through. That's exactly what you should be doing.
Right.
Because we're not expecting you to have everything absolutely memorized. Some of you might work. Some of you might not. But as long as we have some sort of reference, anybody should be able to answer this.
And that's a huge thing that's changed, I think, in terms of like jobs and expectations and stuff like that. I know when I first started in the industry back around, oh good lord, the turn of the century, now 20 some years ago, there was, we had a much different work frame, and the internet is not what it is. You know what I mean? Technology is not where it is now. So yeah, there was a bunch of things you just kind of had to know. End of story. Like there was no getting past it. But that converted and changed over the years that I worked in the industry, and it turned more and more into, well, we have a wiki, or we have an FAQ, like we have a 411 site, whatever you want to call it. It always turned into a resource, and everyone was trying to make a one-stop shop that gave you all the information that you needed to provide you with the assistance, the answers, the step-by-steps, the procedures, the protocols, whatever it is, the policy, like all of it was being made available to you. What you needed to have was the skills to understand how to locate that, to address the situation, to help resolve the situation or the problem. So it's like that should be what you use. Tying back to my earlier experience that I'm going to get off my soapbox about, make sure the answer that you provide is relevant or makes sense. Because it's going to be this simple. If I ask for, if I was to ask Grubhub where the closest burger joints are, and it tells me Chick-fil-A, I'm going to be irritated and be like, bitch, your shit is broken. Like, that's not what I wanted. Pay attention. Get it together.
The closest place nearby you
I mean, the burger
Haagen-Dazs.
is chicken, but it's still considered a burger.
No, we're not. No, it's not a chicken burger. Nice try.
They even call it chicken sandwich.
It's a chicken sandwich, and they actually call it a chicken sandwich.
Yeah. So, anyways,
hate chicken sandwich it is, but hey, it is called a chicken sandwich.
Yeah. And as a random aside, this is just a vent. Microsoft, get your shit together. Like in the past, well, since the beginning of the year, you've had at least 2 major outages that have caused issues. Like in terms of like your whole online suite of cloud stuff, it's affected my part-time job. I'm also noticing that Skype is fritzing out at the moment, so that's fun,
Yeah. Aren't you loving the pretty pixelation on everybody?
How they're all pixelated?
Yeah.
You look fine to me.
Well, I'm seeing a lot of pixelation.
Oh. Yeah. Might be some weird internet thing. I don't know. You guys look dandy to me. Anyways, shall we move on?
Yeah, sure.
Damon, what's been going on over in the YouTubes? Because we don't have anything in Facebook.
Okay, sorry. It kind of cut out on me. So
same here, Damon.
Yeah,
it actually froze for a second on my end, but
yeah. Anyway, so as I was saying, so YouTube subscribers, we have a new one. Rolf Weber, welcome. Some comments that we have made on some recent posts from COL593, the Let's Talk About Food Sexy. Gendin Mushi replied, "Now why Miss Lollipop wasn't in a chat? ? Nonetheless, this was a cute episode." Miss Lollipop?
I think Dindin was referring to themselves.
Okay, cool. There's that. And then on COL595, which was the Landscape of Relationships Trust Part 1, Bobby Miller replied, "Totally enjoyed the podcast. Thanks, guys."
You're welcome.
Yay.
Speaking of which, we did receive an email from Owen that we think would be best in a different episode. So we want to acknowledge we got it. We enjoyed it. We read it. Well, Gary read it. I kind of skimmed over it, but
wow,
maybe we got the idea. We think that it might be better in a specific another episode, so we'll get to it. It's there. I just wanted to acknowledge that it's there and that we're going to talk about it.
So weird.
Over on Twitter, we have Bareback Bears, followed by Bareback Bears, Tate 37421, Matthew 831-89705, and Perker James 0808. Gary,
Neat.
what was last month all like?
We had COL episodes 592, 593, 94, 95. Started off with the what's going on for the month of February. Then we did a let's talk about food, sexy edition. And then we discussed the resurgence of Dungeons and Dragons. So we got into some gaming. And the two of you had a grand old time.
Can't imagine why.
Discussing it, and I was perfectly fine with it. I was, there was sort of this like expectation. I don't really want to call it shade that people were like, Gary probably hates this episode, like doesn't want to talk about it. And it's like, no. Like, I just, I've kind of learned that some things, I'm even though I'm not an early adopter of things, if I like something, I tend to really commit to it. Mm-hmm. And role play gaming became problematic for me in college. Like, I almost flunked out. So I'm not against it. I'm just really out of touch with it, because the last time, like I think I said in that episode, the last time I was aware of it, like on a personal level, was back in 1992, 93. So we're talking 30 years ago. Very different than where we are today, especially in terms of what technology has brought to the platform, or to the universe. And then episode 595 was Landscape of Relationships, Trust Part 1. Mr. Edward Angelini Cook joined us as our resident sex therapist. But we returned to the ongoing series of Landscape of Relationships. And this one was about trust. But because of the amount of information to go over, we've made it a two-parter, or three, depending. I think it'll be two. And Ed will be back soon, and we'll have a discussion to continue on about trust. I highly recommend for folks, especially if you're newer to the podcast, if you go and listen to all the Landscape of Relationship episodes. I think we've done 5 or 6 now.
We have a playlist.
So, yeah. I would recommend that you check those out, because I really think one of the things that does is give people some really good, like, grounded conceptual things to think about, like in terms of like themselves and how they interact with others, whether you're single or partnered, whatever the case may be, or
in a polycule.
Yes,
which I know you got really thrilled about. a new term.
When you find out about something and you understand it, it is kind of exciting, as opposed to when you find out about something new and you don't understand it, and then you feel confused and puzzled. And then last week we had an away week. Mm-hmm. So we decided to do a flashback episode in our week away as hosts, and we flashed back to episode 356, and it's titled "It's a Shit Show," which was, from my understanding, back at the time when we recorded it, we were gonna do a certain topic and or have a certain guest. I can't remember which, and it kind of fell apart. So it was done on the fly. So
I think it was an okay show. It was just because I think we kind of figured it out. Figured that it was going to be a shit show, like before we recorded it.
Yeah,
It was one of those where I think if I'm trying to remember correctly, I think it was one of those ones where our guest had miscalculated timing and was not available. So we just said, we'll just go on without them, and move on and do something. And that was kind of like, what are we doing? I don't know. We'll just do something.
Right.
Which honestly is the origin of this podcast.
Right. Which you never know. That might happen again. They're just, maybe a window of time where things don't line up, or we, don't get certain things, and then we go from there.
I mean, it's a nice thing I've got these two as co-hosts, because if there's nothing, they'll always have something to talk about.
I mean,
child,
you ain't wrong.
So, speaking about, all All right, so I'm gonna just take a moment because I kind of got like shaded, grilled, whatever, like called out for this last night. Because what was the chat conversation? Sorry, I have to go back and find it. So last night I was chatting with some friends about something. I don't know if I was venting about this or going on about something else, and I got called out because I had mentioned that about how in my youth, I think, I had where is it at? That's so this is going to be a weird thing. So Drew was at a like a bonfire kind of thing. So he's, and everyone's just commenting because it's Saturday night, and it's like what we're up to or what we're doing this random chat thread, right? And I can't remember why, but we ended up on the subject of scouting. And yes. And I revealed, which one, if not two of my very close friends did not know that I was in Cub Scouts, had been a Weeblo, and also was in Boy Scouts when I was younger. And they had said that they didn't know that about me. And I was like, really? Oh, okay. So we were just discussing, like, what rank we had gotten to, what we had completed, that kind of stuff. And one of the things that came out of that was I said that that we had gotten in trouble once on an actual camping trip. Like, we went out into the hills of Pennsylvania and stayed in legitimate cabin or tents. And I'm talking old school tents, kids, like with wood, structure poles, rope, tie lines to actual metal, like part of a van, like on cots, like none of this like nylon polyester shit, like
Canvas.
Taj Mahal thing. Yeah, no, it was canvas that was supposedly waterproof, but you weren't supposed to touch it because then it took the waterproofing off. Anyways, so I said the boys stayed up late and we got into trouble because we had taken all the hot cocoa powder, and we had found by accident when you sprinkle it over the flames, it makes the flames change colors because of the chemicals that are in the hot powder. So when the adult Scoutmasters woke up the next morning, they were none too pleased to see that we had gone through all of the hot cocoa powder.
we were just really thirsty, and it was chilly, so we had a lot of hot cocoa.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyways, I said, about it made pretty rainbow colors, blah, 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 and that the Scoutmasters adults were pleased in the morning. And then AJ, God bless him, calls out and goes, even at that age, Gary stayed up into the wee hours of the night. And I was like, for real? Did I just get called out on that?
You know what? I think we should probably just go into this. I usually cut that off earlier, and now we're probably going to get flagged on this one. But that's okay. It's just a claim. It doesn't do anything besides make you see ads. That's all.
Don't we get flagged on a lot of our content?
Every single DR episode. No, I think there was one that didn't get flagged for some reason, but
oh well,
one
wah, wah.
out of how many you've had, 100 and something.
If we would quit using musical sound clips from the show that are probably copyrighted, then it wouldn't happen.
But again, it's just claims. It's not flags. It doesn't do any. It doesn't really affect us too much, if anything.
So here is your 0.01% of a penny that we never get.
There you go. Anyways, moving on. I got nothing. So Damon, what do you got?
Okay, well, I actually have two. Aha.
I'm making up for me.
My first one, there we go. That's what we'll say. My first one is from Dan Daddy by D, and I called it Eggs in One Basket.
Oh.
And we have very, bearded, beautiful Easter bunny, fully naked, and he's got his basket full of eggs, including his balls and dick. But that's that. There you go.
Okay, so I will say this:
Oh.
the second photo
Gosh.
is creative. So this tweet has 2 pictures to it, and in the second one, they've actually Photoshop colored their nuts to look like an Easter egg, like in the basket.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some big nuts.
It's a fun one.
They're
And I
bigger
thought
than
it was
the rest
cute.
of the eggs, but yeah.
Wow. That's all I gotta say.
What is going on?
There's some lag. We're losing Damon.
Mm.
We can hear you, Damon. It's the video which is being weird.
Hold on.
After these
Okay.
messages, Damon will be right back.
So you can hear me. That's fine. All right.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on. Anyway, so my second one actually is for our favorite daddy bear, Mr. Mark. Yeah, this is his birthday. Today is his 50th birthday, so I figured I'd share.
Yay! He's adorable, and is covered in tats.
He's gotten some more recently.
Oh yeah,
he added some to his back. I think.
I think he has.
Thirsty bitches.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm busy reading all the comments on the picture.
Yeah. But it's his birthday, so happy 50th. And yeah, looking good.
Gary, what do you got?
Okay. Gary.
Mine is titled "Come Lay With Me." Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I was assuming you were going to say more, but
well, I mean, it's Bearded Saint, who I've been following for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
Jake is just sexy as hell, and he is laying on the bed backwards with the sun shining on him, and he just kind of like seductively like caresses from his chest down to his waist, and he's shirtless, and it kind of looks like he's not wearing pants or shorts, but he actually is. They're just in a color that almost matches his skin tone. So
yeah. Otherwise, we'd probably see more of him.
Oh well, he hasn't been shy. Every once in a while,
but in this, we would have seen more of him.
Yeah, but I just wanted to like kind of give him a shot because he's really sexy and been dealing with a lot over the past year plus. Moved from St. Louis? No, moved from Philly to like Wisconsin, I think. And he and his partner, that was just in the midst of the pandemic and stuff. So just going through a bunch of things, but yeah.
And just to note, because I don't think we note this every time, but I do link all these in the show post on cubsoutloud.com. So obviously, because of certain content, we can't actually show them here. You can always go to cubsoutloud.com, pull up the show, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on into the links that are non-Twitter based.
Wow.
Damon, what do you got? Or are we losing you again?
The lag is pretty bad.
I think we have a Damon back. I can see him moving.
Hello?
Hi, can you hear us?
Hello?
Oh no, Damon can't hear us.
Can you hear me?
We can
I
hear
can
you.
hear you now.
I mean, when in doubt, disconnect, reconnect.
It's getting ridiculous. Hold on.
Yay, technology.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we've been able to hear you the whole time.
Okay. Can you see me?
Yeah, you're a little pixely, but that's fine.
I don't even know. Anyway, okay. So much lag. I didn't
There's
get
so much.
any
Let's
of
go on.
like the past 10 minutes. So,
Oh no!
anywho,
Tell us about your links, David.
sure. So my first link is for Invincible, which is now available on Amazon. It's based on a comic series. It is an animated series. It's been interesting watching it. It is definitely gory. So if you're not into that, like, don't watch it. Um, um, Essentially, it is about a teenager who is half alien who knew he would eventually get powers, but that they had been delayed based on his father being this very powerful hero, and him coming to terms of being who he wants to be as a hero, and all the other stuff that's going on, and there's a lot of interesting things. If you know the comic, you know kind of what's going on. So it's not really a spoiler for you, but I'm not going to get too much into it because I don't want to spoil it for people who maybe don't know the comic. Like I know the comic, I know a lot because I'm. If I don't know something, I probably want to know it before things happen. So I've read like Wikipedia and whatever articles, so I know the story and I know what's going to happen.
So you haven't read the comic?
We'll see. But yeah, it's very interesting. Huh?
You haven't read the comic?
No. It's not one it's not one I would have picked up, I will admit. I think I was fully aware of it until now. So, but I do. So I might be picking it up. Anyway, so that's my first one.
I will say, real quick, Damon, that I like
pick
the
is
sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say I like the art style.
You know, I realized, yeah, it's very good. I do like it, and just be aware, y'all. There's still a lag, so I might not hear what you guys are saying. So, fun. I do like the art. I do like that the art in the series is staying close to the art in the comics.
Ooh,
so
okay.
I don't know if it's the same. I doubt it's the same people doing everything, but I know it's produced by the writer of the comics. So
cool. Good deal.
And they've made a few changes because of how it's going to how the actors were they changed African American because there's an African American voicing her, and so she's made to look more like her. There's that. Okay, so second is to a YouTube channel called Toy Galaxy that I've been really getting into. But he essentially has been doing videos on 80s and 90s cartoons and TV series, usually those that have tie-ins with toys. And it's just very interesting listening to the histories of these shows and knowing a little bit more about them. I will very easily, very quickly fall down rabbit holes watching his stuff because it's just history and nostalgia from when I was growing up. Cool. Yeah, there's that.
Nice. Gary?
So I actually haven't watched much Netflix in the past month, but I did really enjoy something on Disney Plus. So if you have Disney Plus and are mildly interested or really into the Marvel comic universe, they have a series called Marvel 616 that I really liked. It's a limited series exploring different parts of Marvel that you may not really be aware of. And I really liked what they presented. So like the very first episode is called Japanese Spider-Man. And it's about how in Japan there was a television series or a movie. I can't remember which.
It was a series.
Yeah. That was made like perhaps before some of us on this group were born. Or like when we were really, really young, but it wasn't until the 2000s, I think, or maybe the 90s that Marvel revealed that this thing ever existed and that Stan Lee totally like gave it a thumbs up and like, was aware of it. It just was never talked about. So that was an interesting bit of the background. And there's some other things they talk about, the art episode, like comic series, character things, Lost and Found. Suited Up is really cool because it's about cosplay, which I thought was pretty cool. The Marvel Method, it was really interesting because that was about how Iron Man 2020, the reboot comic, was based off of the previous run, but the guy that wrote it, Dan Slott, I think his name is. I don't know if he's a bear, but I know a good number of men in the bear community would totally shag him. He's just a big dude with a nice big beard, who has worked for Marvel for decades. But the Marvel Method is an interesting look at how the way comic books used to be done, and that it was very different than the way other comic books were written, and that's really kind of become not the way it's done anymore. But anyways, so it was really interesting to see like a collaborative effort right down to the wire to get it printed. And I did not know this, Marvel comics are printed in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, which I have been to. I've been through the town. I just didn't know. It was pretty cool. And the last episode 8 was on Spotlight. And it's about how Marvel has released a series of plays about their characters, but the plays are meant for young adults, like in high school and college, and it's like bringing small storylines of superheroes in the Marvel universe to the stage.
Nice.
It's pretty cool. I really, really liked that. So if you've got some time, they're about maybe 45 minutes to an hour each episode. It's, I don't know. I just really was fascinated with seeing a whole other part of that universe, because to me, this is all relatively new. Like I was not a comic book person that much really as a kid. And so now as an older adult, I feel like I'm catching up to y'all. who
Fun
threatened,
fact.
you know.
Fun fact.
Yes.
The reference to 616 is in reference to the number of universe that the main Marvel universe is numbered.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, in Flash and in DC universe, you have Earth 1, Earth 2. Well, the main Marvel universe in the Marvel multiverse is 616. I can't remember, and maybe Damon, but where 616 came from, I know there was a specific reference. I wasn't sure if it was like the area code where the Marvel offices were or something like that. Can't remember.
Where
I'm
looking really quick.
616.
So Wikipedia says a difference of opinion exists regarding the selection of the number. In 2005, on an internet message board, the number was arbitrarily chosen, saying it was just a random number of no significance because people always seem to be talking about Earth 2 versus Earth 4 or any other numbers. Then apparently someone said it was a variation of the number of the beast. Hello. Picked because this person apparently wasn't a fan of the modern superhero genre. So he decided to name it 616. Oh, okay. Because that totally makes sense. And then it goes on to say, in the climaxes of Goblin Nation and Spider-Verse storylines, respectively, it is revealed that Marvel 2099/Earth-928 is the same as 616, dubbed the Earth 616 circa 2099, which is
so it's in the
78 years in the future.
Yeah, same timeline, just different times. But but that's a fun fact. That's that's where the 616 comes from.
Yeah, and I've heard it referenced or mentioned before, like 616 being our version of the universe, so to speak, or whatever, and so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think
we lost Damon. Jinx.
I think he grew so irritated with this shitty internet connection.
Well, I've been telling him to disconnect and reconnect.
No, I know, but like even I think there's something going on just in terms of the internet overall.
Yeah. Anyways, we're at the end. So play ways to contact us, and let me get my sheet up so I have my reference. Again, any of these links and everything you can find over on our website, cubsoutloud.com. You can shoot us an email for any feedback at cubsoutloud@gmail.com. Or even just give us a call. Give us a jingle at 361-COL-TALK. That's 361-265-8255. And follow us on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, and YouTube at Cubs Out Loud in the appropriate place in the URL. You can join our entourage chat and chat us up, and even get links of when we're recording these lives. Hey, we got a Damon back. I'm not sure if the internet is much better, but hey, welcome back.
Hey.
Over at tinyurl.com/telegram-col. You can find out when we're planning on recording these by subscribing to our Google Calendar at tinyurl.com/calendar-col. You can get various accoutrements, such as Cubs Out Loud version 1 shirt, a Consent is My Foreplay, and various different style shirts, which Damon and Gary are wearing. We got a pup and a bear, but we also have more different types. At Zazzle.com/CubsOutLoud. You can become a patron at patreon.com/CubsOutLoud. Or if you want to send us some cash, you can go to paypal.me/CubsOutLoud. You can subscribe to us through Apple Podcast, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon, and Audible. And you can find me anywhere in the internet as Boxset, Boxpuppy, Boxcub, Box something or other, and Windgem, WYNDGEM, over on Twitch. I did not stream because I have been obsessing over Final Fantasy XIV and just didn't feel like streaming. Plus, my sleep schedule's been weird and such. So, but yeah, we're there. Damon?
I am Theater Cup 79 on most beer-related sites, are on Facebook, or you can find me as pup_Umbra on Twitter. Not safe for work. There you go. No, it's not. No.
If you would like to get in touch with me, you can pretty much find me anywhere online as Gabber73. Regarding the Twitter, with the more interesting, provocative stuff, it's GARBEAR73XXX.
Dirty boy.
And with that, say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Ciao for now.